All right, welcome back to another episode of Real Talk. Jeff here. Brad in his Manchester United gear. I feel like there was a big win yesterday. How are you, sir?
Massive, massive. I'm great. Football's right around the corner, but it's been a slow start to the other football, and to get a big win yesterday, it was massive for the Mentals.
So, I we had got off the phone. We spoke briefly yesterday. You guys had a 2-1 lead or a 2-0 lead, and they scored, and you're like, all right, I gotta go. So it was 2-1, and I turned the game on while I was driving. Don't do that at home, folks. Um, but I can listen and drive at the same time. But anyways, one of the things I heard them say is you guys had not beat them in like 4 years.
4.5 years. I believe we may have tied them a couple times, but yeah, the last 8 or 9 times we played them, they've had our number over the past couple of years. Oh, and they think in the 4.5 years, it's been 3 different coaches that we've had as well. So big turnover at the club, but yeah, last time we beat them, nobody knew COVID was ever going to be a thing.
Yeah. So for those of you that don't know, we're talking about Manchester United beating Liverpool. Premier League
Yeah.
game yesterday. Pretty big deal. Brad was very stoked, obviously. Um, before we get too far, we are doing our NFC South, NFC North double breakdown all in one pod today. Um, Unfortunately, I don't know beforehand. So if you're only interested in the North, I could tell you to skip forward, but I don't know where it's going to land. But we are going to be starting with the South today. Before we get into that, I did want to just briefly talk about my Florida trip. So I just
Yeah.
last week I was out of town vacationing with the family, and I did two sports things that I think are pretty cool. Um, First thing, so we had got in late last Thursday, the past Thursday, so not like 3 days ago, 4 days ago. We're talking about over 10 days ago now. Um, I had got in late on Thursday night, but that following Sunday, I went to my eighth different ballpark. I went to Tropicana Field, seeing the Rays play the Orioles. And prior to going to the game that day, when you go to these different ballparks and you're not seeing your favorite team play, mine being the Tigers, I'm going to see two teams that I don't care who wins, loses. Obviously, you kind of root for the home team when you go to a different team's ballpark. Um, but one thing I like to look forward to is seeing something that would be special. A no hitter, a perfect game, maybe a player hits for the cycle, maybe there's a milestone that day, maybe there's a triple play, something that's rare that doesn't happen a lot. And it's like, oh, that game, I seen that. Prior to the game, I was talking to a friend of mine that I was going to the game with, and he's a Rays fan. And I said, yeah, I'd really like to see a perfect game or no hitter. Like that would be obviously the ultimate dream. He goes, well, you won't be seeing that today, talking about how their two best pitchers weren't going to be pitching. And I was like, well, to be fair, it's always somebody you don't expect. And so we get to the game, and it starts off slow. It's like 0-0 through like 2 or 3 innings. And the Rays hit a 3-run bomb to go up 3-0. Well, it gets about the fifth inning, and there's a no hitter on the line with the Rays, and we're talking about it. Not only is a no hitter, it's been perfect at that point. Well, then the sixth inning comes and goes, and then the seventh inning stretch, and then our guy goes back out there and he completes the seventh inning with still a perfect game. And at that point, Tropicana Field it was like a playoff atmosphere. Those of you that don't know, Tropicana Field is very widely regarded as the worst stadium in all of baseball. And they struggled to sell tickets there. But it was a Sunday, which is the most common day for anybody to go to a baseball game. And it was very packed. I would say probably 60 to 65% filled. And after the eighth inning was complete, and it was Drew Rasmussen. I think that's his name. I'm butchering his last name, but he had pitched 8 perfect innings, and I have never seen a baseball field get so hype. I was in attendance for Miguel almost hitting 500, so it was very exciting there too. But it was just like that. It was very magical, very hype, and unfortunately, the first batter number 25, you need 27 outs to get a perfect game. Batter number 25 hit a line drive to third, and it ended up becoming a double. And unfortunately, it was a broken perfect game. But very exciting nonetheless. I was almost a part of history. There's only been 23 perfect games in the history of baseball, and there's been over 218,000 games played. So
pretty wild.
Second thing, and this kind of goes in with one of the teams we're going to be talking about today. I was able to tour. Shout out to Kelly Pollock, who got this to me as like a gift for coming to Florida. I was able to tour Raymond James Stadium. That was very cool. Did the entire stadium tour. Got to go basically as close to the field as the sidelines, but I was up on the pirate ship, the famous pirate ship. Got to go into the locker room of the visiting team, not the actual Tampa Bay Buccaneers locker room, but it's also the UCF football team. That was kind of cool. Got to go up into skyboxes and see the suites and things like that. So very cool experience. I know you guys all laugh at me that I'm a Bucs fan. I'm not a Bucs fan. I'm just a Tom Brady homer, self-proclaimed. But it was very cool to tour a stadium. I've never toured any stadium before, and it makes me want to tour more. So I wanted to share that with you listeners here before we talk about the NFC South. But anything else before we get started?
I don't have much, no.
Yeah. Well, the NFC South last year finished up. Tampa Bay Buccaneers won it. The Saints finished second. The Falcons finishing third, and the Panthers finishing fourth. So we're going to start with the Panthers like always. We're going to go worst to first. Carolina Panthers, 2021, they finished 5-12. They were the fourth worst scoring team in the entire league. The only teams that scored worse than them, they're all terrible. The Giants, the Texans, the Jags. Carolina Panthers were definitely a team that I was backing last year for whatever reason. I've been on their bandwagon now for it seems like 2 years. And they just didn't live up to the hype that I was giving them. But here are some key adds. They did go out and get free safety Xavier Woods. He's bounced around the league, been with I believe the Vikings and the Cowboys. Good player. They went out and got wide receiver Rashawn Higgins, which I think is an underrated move. I think he was very tight with this next guy, quarterback Baker Mayfield. They went out and got from the Browns. Linebacker Corey Littleton. And then they went out and drafted, I believe it was the second or third round. I don't remember exactly where, but Matt Corral out of Ole Miss. Unfortunately, breaking news today, Matt Corral will miss the season with an injury. I don't think he was going to contend for the starting job anyway. Baker Mayfield looks to start week 1. Key losses, not a lot. Cam Newton, who was basically a plug-and-play quarterback, came in midway. Not really big loss there. Stephon Gilmore, that is a pretty big loss. He did play half the season with them. It was fairly productive. And then cornerback A.J. Boye. So they're kind of losing some pieces in the back end there. Anything you'd want to add for adds and losses before we talk about the season?
No, not really. I mean, outside of some of the players they drafted and the big quarterback splash, there isn't really too much that makes you go wow on this team in terms of adds. And I mean, you could say Christian McCaffrey because he missed most of last season if you wanted to look at it that, but no, I mean, they didn't go crazy in the free agency or nothing like that.
So we'll talk about their schedule. We'll predict wins and losses in a minute, but on paper, obviously this is a team that's had a pretty beat up offensive line, but they have had some pieces through the draft. You get Baker Mayfield, who's already announced as the starter, right? You have DJ Moore. You have Robbie Anderson. You have Rashard Higgins, who I believe will be a factor there with Baker. And you have Christian McCaffrey. The tight end, Dan Arnold, right?
No, Dan Arnold was the one that went to Jacksonville.
Okay, so I don't even know who the starting tight end.
Tommy Tremble. He had a pretty decent year last year too.
Okay.
Nothing to write home about, but they did use him.
What do you think of this offense? Obviously, I don't want to just sit here and shit on the Panthers for 20 minutes, but I just don't know we have much here.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've always liked Baker a little bit more than you have.
That's fair.
So I do think their quarterback situation has improved. This team did.
I agree. By the way, I agree.
Yeah, their team did start 3-0 last year, and then finished 2-13. I think that math was, or two
Yeah,
and
yeah.
yeah,
2-12. 2-12.
yeah. So 2-12. But it's really simple. I think they drafted a nice left tackle. They go as Christian McCaffrey goes. He's that big of a difference maker, maybe the biggest in the league at the running back position. His ability to catch and run. His health determines a lot. DJ Moore quietly has been a dominant receiver in the league, even though he's never talked about it like he should be. But Baker, I think, can take this. I think this offense go to the next level with Baker. But like I said in the beginning, it starts with Christian McCaffrey's on the field full health. I don't think anybody wants to see this Carolina offense. I think their tight end can both pass block and run routes. I think their offensive line's improved, quarterbacks improved. Their coach is on the hot seat, so he's coaching for his life. Sometimes that can be good, sometimes that can be bad. Their defense is just still very young. J.C. Horn comes back. He was having a tremendous start to the year before random foot injury, but they've picked a lot of players in the front seven over the last few years. They're a wild card team. I think they're a team that could really surprise. Not wild card playoff. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to like.
Oh,
I know I said that. I didn't mean for like.
you're
Playoffs.
good. You were breaking something. I'm like, whoa. You got them as a wild card? Okay.
I just mean from week to week. I feel like the
Could beat
Panthers are going to
anybody.
have a few duds, but I feel like there's going to be some games where you're like, what? The Panthers are up by 10 on who in the third quarter? Like, I just think that it's going to take this team a little bit to get going, but once they figure it out, if they can stay healthy, which all teams kind of say that, but Christian McCaffrey, DJ Moore, Baker Mayfield, they've got some really solid pieces.
Yeah, I want to like them. Like they have things that makes me want to root for them, and like you said, J.C. Horn, you didn't talk about is it Brian Burns? He's been a great player for them, linebacker wise. I mean, they have really good pieces that they've went out and got. The Panthers have always been a middle of the road team, except for when they have their two Super Bowl runs that they've had in the last 20-ish years. But most of the time, they're a middle of the road team. They're usually not bottom barrel, and I don't expect them to be bottom barrel. But when you're the fourth worst scoring team, and all you did was add Baker Mayfield, I'm gonna need McCaffrey to play 17 games. Otherwise, you didn't improve. The quarterback situation is better. You're bigger on Baker than I am, but I will say that Baker's the best thing that they've got by far, and has been for the last couple of years. I really thought it's pretty well noted they were all in on Deshaun Watson. It seems like Deshaun Watson just didn't go there for whatever reason. Obviously, Cleveland threw the money. It seemed like he wanted Atlanta. Atlanta didn't offer the money. Cleveland did. The Panthers were kind of third choice maybe, but the Panthers seemed like they wanted Deshaun the most. At least that was the name that kept coming up. They ended up getting Baker Mayfield for basically nothing. They reduced his contract and everything. So watch out for Carolina to win a couple of games here and there. I don't have them as a big threat, though.
Me neither.
Right. Okay. First five. So week one. This is their game of the year. I don't think it's even arguable. If you're going to watch any Panther game of the year, this would probably be it. So the Carolina Panthers are home against the Browns. Baker Mayfield's former team. He is announced as the week one starter, which I think is the right move. Couple things. Can the Carolina Panthers protect Baker Mayfield the way the Browns used to protect Baker Mayfield? A. And B, is Christian McCaffrey going to be a factor? Because if he's a factor, I think the Panthers can win this game. And I'm actually chalking this up as a W. I think the Panthers can steal a week one victory. There's a lot of emotion here. And there's not too many games where Baker Mayfield's the best quarterback on the field, but he will be in this one. And there's just there's a lot to like as far as a week one Carolina Panthers team. I don't know about a Week 10 Carolina Panthers team, but I like a Week 1 Carolina Panthers team, and I'll take them to beat the Browns. I know you probably disagree here.
Yeah, I think Denzel Ward matching up on DJ Moore, Jadeveon Clowney, and Myles Garrett going against some young tackles. They've got a good young linebacker and the Joker there. I think this defense is really going to be good for Cleveland. And then you talk about the offensive line and running game. I think Jacoby Brissett can be fine. I still like the Browns here with their roster. And also, I don't know. I think this is a game where everyone's like Baker revenge game, and you just kind of easily buy into that. Like, oh, it's a revenge game. I don't know if a rowdy Baker is the best thing to have on your team. I want him to be more calm. I think he's going to try and do too much, and I believe one mistake can turn into an avalanche of mistakes. Not that he's just going to walk in there and dice up Cleveland just because that story would be cool.
Very fair point. Though I do say that have been a couple of games in Baker's career where a fiery Baker turned into a really, really good thing. It seems like he was always really fiery against the Bengals for whatever reason.
Yeah.
That playoff game against Pittsburgh, he was really good in. Week 1 against the Chiefs last year, he was really good in. The playoff game against the Chiefs. I mean, Baker's had his moments. I'm not a Baker guy, but I can say, hey, this is where he's been good.
And I'm not saying like, oh, like I'm negating it so bad to where like this is Cleveland easily. I think it's a great game. Especially you get Jacoby Brissett, against, that defense in Carolina who we're expecting to take a jump forward. I like the Browns here in this spot. But by no means do I think it's a blowout. I can't wait to watch this game. I mean, I'll definitely be watching it on the second TV for sure.
Yeah. Week 2 at the Giants. I'm going to let you go first because if you don't have them beating the Giants, I don't know that you're going to give them a victory.
I do have them beating the Giants.
Okay.
It's going to be hard for me to find a win for the Giants.
Yeah, no, I agree. I actually have the Panthers at 2-0, kind of very similar to how they started last year. Very hot, but then things get real quick. Week 3, they're home against the Saints. Where are you going here?
Saints.
I like the Saints too. I'm excited to talk about the Saints here in a little bit. Which, by the way, spoiler, the Saints, if you have not looked, they have a very, very, very favorable schedule. I think it's one of the more favorable ones in the whole league. Week 4, home against the Cardinals. Panthers, Cardinals. Arizona does have to come to the East Coast. Is that an issue? Who you got here?
Actually, just like a tricky spot here. I think I kind of like the Panthers here.
Really?
Against the Cardinals. Yeah, no DeAndre Hopkins. Injuries behind J.C. Horn. They've got a very fast defense. I think they could pose some problems for Kyler. Baker Mayfield against Kyler Murray, another get up game for Baker here. Cardinals might be a better team, but I like giving. Back to back home games. I believe when we spoke about Carolina or the Cardinals, they have a tougher start. Yeah, let me see here. Chiefs, Raiders, Rams, then the Panthers away.
This is their first
That's a
season
tough start. I actually like the Panthers here. This is going to be a spot where I give a team I don't think is the better team a win here. I like the Panthers.
I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I just think the Cardinals are too good. There is a reason this team won as many games as they did early in the year last year. This is a very talented team. And as long as Hollywood Brown's, stepping in that role, I think they'll be fine at wide receiver. Week 5, they're home against the Niners. 3 straight home games, and 4 out of the first 5 are at home. But I just think the Niners are too good. I know we haven't seen a lot of Trey Lance, but I think no matter what, they're going to beat the Panthers. I got the Niners here.
I also like the Niners.
Yeah, and then we're not going to give predictions, but feel free to take a guess. Week 6 is at the Rams. Week 7 is home against the Tampa Bay Bucs. I mean, it's a pretty gauntlet of games. You can include the Browns in there. There's really only one easy team in there, and that's the Giants. And even if you think they can beat the Saints and Cardinals, I mean, those are not easy outs. So very tough start for the Panthers. In what's probably a tough season ahead. I have them losing, 5 straight after winning 2. So anything else on the Panthers before we head to the Falcons?
No.
Is there a way that this team gets into the wild card?
I'd have to look more at the whole schedule. I've actually begun my full 200 game prediction, but it'd be hard for me to say yes, especially when I think they're going to finish third in their own division. I mean, maybe fourth, depending on how the schedule lays out or what the Falcons can do. Just off the top of my head, I think 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. No, I think on their best day they might be if they played their absolute best with this roster, I think 9th in the NFC. Probably.
So let me paint a picture, and you tell me if it's good enough to be a playoff team. Now I'm painting a picture that may be unrealistic, but that's fine. I just want you to tell me with the picture I painted if they're a playoff team. J.C. Horn, top 5 corner in the league. He turns into that. Okay. The defense is top half of the league. I don't know where that falls, but with J.C. Horn leading them as a top shutdown corner, they're top 15. Okay. The offensive line does enough, and Christian McCaffrey plays all 17 games. Baker 2-1 touchdown to interception ratio.
Yeah, they're probably 1 or 2 games out of the playoffs.
Even with that.
Yeah, because I mean, just going through their schedule, they're going to have to turn around a 2-5 season. I mean, what we're looking at in the first 7 games.
Yeah.
And I mean, you still, sprinkled in the schedule outside of division, I see Bengals, I see Ravens, I see Broncos, I see Steelers. And that's not counting their divisional games. Those are a lot of hard games.
Yeah. Okay. I just want to give Panthers some hope, but sorry, guys. All right. Next team we're talking here, NFC South, the Atlanta Falcons. So in 2021, they went 7-10. They did have a big surprise in Cordell Patterson. He was probably the fantasy football player of the year, in my opinion, last year. Just kind of came out of nowhere. It was a very good factor for a lot of people.
Probably went undrafted in a lot of fantasy leagues.
He did go. Yeah, I'm sure he was. Top off-season storyline before we get into the key adds and losses is probably the Calvin Ridley story. Suspended 1 year for basically paying up to $1,500 on some FanDuel or DraftKings parlays, whatever it was. He did, in fact, bet on his team to win in a game in which he was not playing. With all that said, here are the key adds. Casey Hayward, cornerback, solid piece. Quarterback Marcus Mariota, bounced around the league a lot, former Heisman Trophy winner, projected to be the starter. Rookie wide receiver Drake London from USC. He was a top 10-ish pick, I believe.
I think he went 8.
Yeah, I think he went 8 as well. And then super under the radar, did not see this. I found this when I was going through here because I don't even remember talking about this on the Raiders breakdown. Wide receiver Bryan Edwards from the Raiders comes over via trade. Love that move. Super, very sneakily good move. I really like Bryan Edwards. And then they did draft a quarterback that I know you really liked. Quarterback Desmond Ridder out of Cincinnati. Very big leader, big heart, good kid. We'll see what he does in this league. Key losses, not a ton. Safety Deron Harmon heads over to the Raiders. Wide receiver Russell Gage heads over to Tampa on a big deal. And then tight end Hayden Hurst, I believe, winds up in L.A. with the Chargers. Is that right?
They also lost Foyesade Alukin and all 192 of his tackles that led the NFL last year. And I'm just going to go straight into it here. Marcus Mariota had a decent preseason game last week, playing against basically the Oregon Ducks practice squad. I mean, over there playing the Panthers backups. Love Kyle Pitts, and maybe this offense can do some things. Marcus Mariota, similar type to Tannehill, Art Smith, gets him. And I think this offense could maybe move the ball here and there. I'm not counting on them to score a ton of points. But it's this defense that really has me worried. A.J. Terrell and Casey Hayward, they have 2 decent corners. Outside of that, I don't really love what they have going on. I mean, Grady Jarrett's okay. Deion Jones, I mean, he's already got injury issues already in training camp. I just think that this team isn't built to light up the scoreboard, and I feel like they're going to have to win shootouts. I just think this Falcons defense And especially when you lose a middle linebacker who has 192 tackles, I just feel like that's incredibly hard to replace. And I mean, the meltdown they had in the preseason, the way Art Smith looked a little bit angry and a little out of control, I just don't know if they really know what they're doing. And the Falcons have been a team that since we've done this podcast, I've been very willing to tell everyone how I think they're terrible. I mean, they shocked me last year to get to 7 wins. And I think that's simply because Matt Ryan's a veteran quarterback who could, do some things for situations, but losing Calvin Ridley's tough. But I think this is a team that could have another top 10 pick, get themselves a nice young quarterback in next year's draft. There's going to be a lot of quarterbacks. And then have Cordell Patterson, Drake London, Calvin Ridley, Brian Edwards, Kyle Pitts, and really be an offense that I think could turn around. Unless Desmond Ridder really is the guy. They did take him this year, but again, it was a third or fourth round pick. So you're okay with, filling a quarterback room that way. But I feel like you're going to be higher on the Falcons, but I have a lot of teams that won like 3, maybe 4 games that I think could double their wins. This is a team that I think goes back and wins even after a 7-10 season. I think they go to 4 or 5 wins.
You think I'm higher on the Falcons?
Just than I am. I'm pretty low on them. We might see them similarly or.
Yeah, no. So different than the Panthers. The Panthers I'm trying to find wins for because I think that they have some pieces to win in this league. I don't think that about the Falcons. And just briefly here, if we swapped out even a mediocre quarterback, and I mean mediocre, like give me Kirk Cousins, I think this team could win some games. You just said it a second ago. Matt Ryan carried this team. You get Kyle Pitts, you get Drake London, you get Cordell Patterson. That right there is all right. Good running back, great tight end, good wide receiver. I think that's enough. The problem is they have a bottom 4 quarterback right now, starting week 1. Bottom 4. I have seen enough of Marcus Mariota. I don't need to see any more. I don't think he can win in the league. Period. That's really all I got to say. Honestly, if this is me, I'm starting Desmond Ridder week 1, seeing what I have, because truthfully, Marcus Mariota is either going to A, get benched, or B, get hurt. It sounds harsh, but the Falcons they got nothing.
Yeah, I guess I want to say to just first of all, I wasn't laughing because I disagreed. It's just like there's 32 quarterbacks. There's got to be a bottom 4, and when you just don't hear people say it often, like he's bottom 4, and I was thinking like, damn, you might be right. You really might be. But if you're a Falcons fan,
think about it. If I had to ask you to name worst quarterbacks, you're thinking hard.
Yeah, like I guess Daniel Jones might pop into my head immediately.
Sure.
Geno Smith if he starts.
Sure. Yep.
Like it is tough. Like
it's very tough.
I'm just if you want to be optimistic in this, there's going to be a lot of bootlegs, a lot of mobility with Mariota. You've got Cordell Patterson at running back. Anthony Firkser, who you was at Tennessee, who's the backup tight end. You may promote him to starting tight end and just make Kyle Pitts a wide receiver. And you could have Drake London, Brian Edwards, Kyle Pitts, Firkser, Cordell Patterson on the field. You can do a lot of misdirection. I just feel like they've got 3 pretty good defenses in their division: Saints, Bucks, and Panthers, let alone the rest of the league. And you're just going to force Mariota to throw on time in tight windows, and I don't think he can do that.
I agree.
So I think this is a team that Marcus Mariota is going to eat some games, and then it's going to be like, just get Desmond Ridder in there. Like, you just kind of have to. And again, Mariota could have a great game and they put up 27 points. I still think they might allow 31. Like, their defense they have to play perfect football to win close games. I think that's just how it's going to be for the Falcons. They're going to have to massively win the turnover battle, special teams, limit turnovers to win by 6. Like, it's going to be tough wins for the Falcons.
The one thing I'm like wondering if you bring in Mariota to be your starter in the offseason, you remember when they brought in Mariota, it was pretty much assumed, hey, we're taking ourselves out of Deshaun Watson, we're taking ourselves out of Baker, this is going to be our guy, and we'll potentially draft somebody, but then they didn't. Obviously, they drafted Ritter, but they didn't invest much. Let's be fair. You said third or fourth round, which I think you're right. My biggest thing is, like, are they trying to run the read option? Like, are they trying to become the Ravens? Because the one thing that everybody likes to make fun of Lamar about is, well, he's going to get hurt someday. And I understand Lamar finally got hurt last year, but I don't think it had anything to do with running. I think he actually got, like, there was like some throwing situations or some sickness or whatever. But, like, Mariota actually gets hurt all the time. He's been an injury-prone quarterback. One hit, he's on the sideline. I'm not being mean. I'm not being funny
here. Did you
here.
watch the preseason game last night?
He was like 6 of 10
for like 100. Did you watch the whole thing though?
No.
Second half, man, that their third stringer Felipe Franks came in, and he was doing a lot of that, like just running out of the back. Like, we're just gonna play football. It looked like a high school team.
Yeah.
Bro, he was hitting defensive players. I mean, like, they're about to go to the out of bounds. Huge collision. Both guys go flying out of bounds. He gets out. Let's go. I mean, the dude was a tank. He's like a linebacker. Just go in there and play quarterback.
This is the quarterback?
So, yeah, he was I think he was number 15. He was a big dude. And he snapped, boom, right off to the right. And I mean, like, running back. So it's like Desmond Ridder being bootlegged Mariota. That might be the system that they're running and just trying to. Now, I don't think it works great for Mariota because, like you said, couple of hits, I don't think he makes it a month. I mean, he does get hurt, nicked up, bruised, but it might be what they're trying to do. It might be fun football to watch, but not if you're a Falcons fan because it's not going to result in W's.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because I do think they have pieces here. I like Patterson a lot. I like the Drake London pick. I love the trade for Bryan Edwards, and I love Kyle Pitts.
I think this could be a bottom 5 defense. Not a dominating O-line, very middle of the road, back half offensive line.
No, I agree.
Running around, just like I said, if they win the turnover battle, special teams, play perfect football, they're trying to win one possession games. I don't love that a whole lot.
Anything else before first five?
No.
So week one, I said this a second ago, and I'm being serious. I'm searching for wins here.
I found one.
Before we get into this, I'm gonna say this: if they do what I just expected them to do, and that's run some sort of read option, and there's a lot of trick plays, I would not even be remotely shocked to see them beat the Saints week one in like a holy shit, what are the Falcons doing type. Lots of trick plays, lots of misdirection, but then that's easily figured out on tape, and then that's the end of it. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't be shocked by a week one, but I'm giving them a loss. I think the Saints are really good. And they're way better than the Falcons. But again, I'm saying this to say this. Teams can get away with shit for 1 week. Who are you taking week one, Saints or Falcons?
I'm taking the Saints.
Week two at the Rams. Rams by 100.
200.
Week three at the Seahawks. Now, a couple weeks ago, we did this breakdown, and we both agreed Seahawks because they're at home. Are you sticking to that?
Gino looks real bad. Give me the Falcons.
I like the Seahawks at home with Kenneth Walker, run offense. They got some pieces over there. I love the Seattle offense. I'm taking the Seahawks. I got them 0-3.
I'm not watching this game.
No. Both teams have offenses that go to bed at night wishing they had a quarterback. Like, please, we just need a comparable. Aaron Rodgers is going to be watching this game, hoping to God his team looks like that, one of those teams. Because they both have offenses.
You're going to see this game on the ticker and be like, that should have been Matt Ryan versus Russell Wilson, but we're not going to talk about it.
Yep. Isn't that funny? 2 franchise quarterbacks for a decade, and they're both gone. Week 4, home against the Browns. Jacoby Brissett. I agree. Give me the Browns here. Week 5 at Tampa.
That's a loss.
It's a loss too.
They might get the next 2 though.
So you're hilarious. So time out before we go farther, because I'm going to go farther. I have them at 0-5. You have them at 1-4. 0-5 or 0-5 wouldn't shock you, I'm sure.
1-4 is their ceiling, and I'm giving it to
That's
them.
their ceiling. So I'm going to read off their next several games. This is brutal. 6, home against the Niners.
L.
Loss. Week 7 at the Bengals.
L.
L. Week 8, home against the Panthers is possible, but I think the Panthers are better.
L.
Yeah. Week 9 against the Chargers, you have them starting like 10-0, so they're beating them.
L.
L. Week 10 at the Panthers. Again, it's hard to sweep people in this division, but I think the Panthers are better than the Falcons. I got an L.
L.
Week 11, I have them beating the Bears at home.
Maybe.
So I have, through 11 games, I have them with 1 win. You have them with 1 win. We both have them at 1-10.
And just a little fun thing that I don't know, I haven't done it on the previous teams, but we'll start here. Falcons on FanDuel, over under wins 4.5. What are you taking?
Wow. Because it's funny that you say 4.5 because I have them at 3-ish wins.
Seattle, Bears at Washington. I mean, their bye week is week.
Washington's better than them.
I know, but I'm just saying some of the they play home
Yeah.
against the Steelers in December.
Give me the under. Give me the under.
Their bye week's week 14, and then they play Saints, Ravens, Cardinals, Bucks.
No, give me the under.
Yeah, and we just did the Panthers, but their over/under is at 6.5. I said I think they could double their wins. I'm going to stick by that, and that's 6. I'd take the under on them as well.
No, they double their wins would be 10.
I thought they were 3 and.
They were 5-12.
Oh, they're not doubling their wins, and they're going to be right about the same thing. I thought they were 3. We said the 2 and whatever was after the 3-0 start.
Yeah,
that's right. That's right.
You said they're 6.5. I'm gonna go under with 5 or 6. Yeah.
Sounds about right.
Moving on. I'm actually excited to talk about this team. It's weird how sometimes we align on things. The New Orleans Saints are next up. Their 2021 record was 9-8. Sean Payton retired, and they hired Dennis Allen, former Raiders head coach. He's been with the Saints now for a couple of years, though, defensive coordinator and such. Couple of news and notes. They did go 2-0 against the Bucks last year, so something to keep an eye on. For whatever reason, the Bucks can't beat them. Wide receiver Mike Thomas. Who knows? There's reports out of camp today. He might have rehurt himself, but he is supposed to play week 1 at this point. We haven't seen him in a year and a half, it seems like. But something to keep an eye on. Key adds. Quarterback Andy Dalton. Different than his job in Chicago last year, where he was brought in to start. Here I think he gets to compete, but he's not the starter. I think it's Jameis all the way. Their biggest free agent signing, I don't think it's even arguable. Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, free safety, stole him from the Chiefs. Bringing in Jarvis Landry, I thought was a huge piece. And then they drafted rookie Chris Olave out of Ohio State, which is a nice piece. As far as the losses go, Malcolm Jenkins, one of the great players in this league for the last 10 years, he retires. And then 2 wide receivers, they lose Little Jordan Humphrey and they lose Kenny Stills. They replace both of those guys with Olave and Landry and potentially get Mike Thomas. I don't think those are losses at all. And then they lose Blake Bortles. No big deal. I mean, this team improved a lot.
They also lost the Pro Bowl left tackle, Teron Armstead.
Oh, yep.
However,
thank you.
the wide receivers they lost, they replaced. Malcolm Jenkins retires, they get Honey Badger, maybe even upgrade for the age that Malcolm was playing at. And the rookie left tackle they drafted in the first round, Trevor Penning, looks the part. So they have Ryan Ramczyk, Cesar Ruiz, Trevor Penning. They've got great offensive linemen. Their wide receivers, they have a bunch of dogs. They have Traquan Smith and Marquez Callaway, who were starters most of last season as their 4th and 5th option. They've got players. Alvin Kamara, Mark Ingram tandem coming out of the backfield. We cannot overlook what Taysom Hill can do for this offense. They have weapons all over. And Jameis Winston was 5-2 last year as a starter for this team and was playing tremendous football. Remember, they beat the brakes off the Packers to start the year. They were playing so well, and then when he got hurt, it sent them reeling at the quarterback position. They didn't really know what to do. They have Andy Dalton this time as a backup plan. But the defense, Marcus Davenport and Cameron Jordan. Then at linebacker, you got Demario Davis. In the secondary, Marshawn Lattimore and Tyrann Mathieu, Marcus May. They have playmakers at all four levels of the defense. Bradley Roby, opposite of him. I just think this team's, I think, ready to go. I'm very excited for the Saints. I have a lot of high hopes for this team. I'm very excited to see what the Saints have to offer this year. Alvin Kamara, his 6-game suspension, it is all but locked in that if he receives one, it will be dealt with in the offseason next year. The court hearing and all that keeps getting pushed back. By the time they figure out whatever the sentence is, the suspension will be for the 2023 season. He is looking more and more set to play all the games this year. I mean, outside of injury, you never know, but I think the Saints are going to be really good this year.
So there's certain things that some teams just do really well. The Steelers always draft wide receivers very well. The New Orleans Saints always draft offensive linemen very well. So it's not shocking that they draft one he instantly looks the part, because that's kind of what they do. They've been doing it for years. They've always done very well with offensive linemen. I think that this team, defensively, we know they're going to be great. That's just what they do. They've always been good. Dennis Allen is a defensive coach. I wonder, they're going to take a step back offensively because Sean Payton is one of the greatest minds we've had offensively in this league. But how much could they take a step back? Because if you do have Jameis and you have Mike Thomas, you have Landry, you have Olave, you have
Taysom Hill, Kamara.
Kamara, thank you. And then Taysom Hill potentially playing tight end, they're saying now. Boy, oh boy. It seems like this team seems like they're loaded.
Yeah.
I like them a lot. And as you alluded to, I was kind of saying, I mean, everywhere this team lost somebody, it seems like they got better there. In Tyrann Mathieu, the Honey Badger, what a perfect set to jump in and join this secondary in this team. They still got Demario Davis. They still have
Cam Jordan.
I mean, they literally the studs that they've always had.
D-line, linebacker, corner, safety. They got a stud at all four levels.
All of them. They're the Rams of the NFC South. I mean, they on that defensive, are they Aaron Donald? Are they? No, but they have a very elite player. Cam Jordan is widely considered a top 10 pass rusher. Demario Davis is considered a top 5 linebacker in this league. Lattimore is a top 10 corner, and Honey Badger is a top 10 safety. They have great players at every level. Ready to talk first 5, or you got more?
Yeah, sure.
Feel free to put me in check. Week 1 at the Falcons, I got them winning.
Ditto.
Week 2, home against Tampa. At this point, I'm done picking Tampa to beat the Saints. Saints win.
I agree.
Week 3 at Carolina. We just talked about this game too. I got the Saints winning. They're 3-0.
Mm-hmm.
We might differ here. Week 4, home against the Vikings. I like the Vikings. I think the Saints are better as a home team. I'll take the Saints here.
By the way, they're home, but they are in London.
Oh,
it's listed as a home game, but this is a 9:30. This is a game where we're gonna have to. While we're doing the countdown, everyone's gonna have. This isn't a game you just want to miss in London. I mean, Vikings. Saints.
Yeah, that's a good game.
I really like the Vikings.
Okay, I'm taking the Saints though. Week 5.
No, I am gonna give it to the Saints, but that was a tough one. I had to think for a minute. I'm gonna give it to the Saints.
Okay, and then week 5, home against the Seahawks. I have the Saints starting 5-0.
Yeah, I think I do too.
They're a surprise team here, but then
Their next 7, next 8.
I was okay. Yeah, I'm glad you're on the same page as me. Things get real very quickly. Not that those teams are dog shit because you have the Bucks and you have the Vikings in there, but they do have 3 favorable games outside with the Falcons, Carolina, and Seahawks. But then it gets serious. So week 6, home against the Bengals. I know they're home, but it's basically a home game for Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I do believe there's going to be a fan base that does going to travel for that. I like the Bengals there.
I think I like the Saints.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Week 7 at the Cardinals. We definitely differ on the Cardinals. I don't know that they're a playoff team, but a home Cardinals team, I will take them in a victory there.
D-Hop's first game back, and he gets
Yeah.
Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah.
Give me the Saints.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I know.
Week 8, home against the Raiders. You know I love the Raiders. I picked them to win the division. I like the Raiders to beat the Saints. Man,
it's a lot of tough games back to back to back to back.
Yeah.
I'll have them losing here, but I don't like it.
And then week 9 against the Ravens, I got the Ravens winning. So I had them starting 5-0, but then dropping 4 straight.
Okay, let's put it this way: Bengals, Cardinals, Raiders, Ravens. I don't know where, I don't know how. They're 2-2. I have them at 2-2 in there. And
so you got them at 7-2.
Worst case scenario, they're 3-2 in their first 5, and then 2-2. So I think they're somewhere around 5-4 or 6-3.
Yeah, I mean, we're close. 5-4, I could easily.
But Steelers, Rams, 49ers, Bucks, right after those 4.
What are they?
Steelers, Rams, 49ers, Bucks.
Yeah, I like the Saints, but I just don't like them that much. I mean, they're good, but they're not. I'm sorry, but like part of this is like I don't know how much Dennis Allen is going to be. I don't know what the loss of Sean Payton means. Jameis Winston still does turn the ball over. I don't know. I just I like them, but like I can't have them beating the Bengals, the Cardinals, the Raiders, the Ravens, the Bucks, the Rams, the Niners. They're not better than those teams. They'll beat a couple of them. They'll beat the Bucks week 2. I'm almost guaranteeing it. I bet the farm on it.
Over under 8.5.
My lord, I hate that you just did that. 8.5 is their win total. They went 9-8 last year. They're gonna get back to 9-8. I got them over.
I like the over here.
Barely, but I like it.
I don't know. I like the Saints.
It's tough.
I like the Saints a lot.
Buccaneers, you ready?
Absolutely.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2021 went 13-4. Offseason had Bruce Arians retire and Todd Bowles named the new head coach. Tom Brady retired, and about 26 days later, he unretired. They did tag Chris Godwin, and they re-signed him. But lots of ads, lots of losses. Try to bear with me here. Here we go. Wide receiver Julio Jones and wide receiver Russell Gage joined the Bucs. Offensive guard Shaq Mason joins via trade. Cornerback Logan Ryan joins. Tight end Kyle Rudolph joins. Defensive end Carl Nassib joins. Mind you, he's a former Buck. And then defensive tackle Akeem Hicks. Nobody's really talking about that move. Going right next to Vita Vega. That's a big move. The losses, though, and there's a lot of them. Ali Marpet retired right after Brady retired and then didn't unretire. He stayed retired. Gronk retired. Alex Kapka, they lose him to the Bengals. Tight end O.J. Howard, they let go. Defensive end JPP, Jason Pierre-Paul, gone. Ndamukong Suh, defensive tackle, gone. And then, though it's not a loss, it is. Alex Jensen, their center, gone for the year. Boy, oh boy. And so obviously they lost 2 guards and a center They brought in another guard from the Patriots. They just lost another guard the other day. I don't know if that one's for the year or not. It's for a while. This team is so beat up on the interior offensive line. Where do you want to add as far as adds, losses, or anything else you want to bring up?
Nothing super crazy. I just know this team has a lot of questionables day to day. Is hurt, nicked up, banged up, and out for the seasons. Tampa's still going to be good. I think people right now are being like, "Oh, I don't know if Brady's really committed this year." You know, this stuff. He wouldn't have unretired if he wasn't committed. I think that's very, very just a naive take. I think you're very casual if you really believe that. I just don't think that's smart. We just know in history, edge rushers is not where you get Brady. It's the interior pass rush. So if you have a good interior defensive line, or you send pressure up the middle against what's now basically a bunch of backups there in the middle, outside of Shaq Mason, things can get interesting. However, I think Brady's smart. I don't think that's a hot take. I think he will take care of the ball. If you got to punt, you got to punt. And his defense is where they're going to win games. Last year, the defense was a little banged up, and the offense, scored a lot of points and kind of carried them while they're trying to get healthy. This year, it'll be the opposite. Akeem Hicks, Vita Vea, Joe Tryon, Devin White, Levante David, Shaq Barrett. You kidding me with that front seven? Sean Murphy Bunting, Winfield Jr., Carlton Davis in the secondary. I mean, good luck trying to drive 70 yards consistently on this defense. You're not going to be able to run on Tampa. They're going to put you in obvious throwing situations. And every time you make a mistake, Brady's going to make you pay. This team's going to be very methodical, not very many mistakes. And they're going to be a tough out and a tough team to beat every time, regardless of injuries. Do they have some areas where you might be able to do certain things? Sure. But this team is pretty well built to be there in the end as a top 3 team in the NFC.
Yeah, I just think that this team has enough on defense, as you just alluded to. And they did enough. It's just, this is something that, like, I don't understand how most teams aren't doing this. It seems like, and call it whatever you want when it comes to Tom Brady. If you want, I don't really care. If you're consistently putting elite pieces around your quarterback, you have a chance to win. And I don't know if Julio Jones has anything in the tank. I can tell you one thing. 2020 Julio Jones went on the field. He was good. 2021, he was booty. Russell Gage, very good player, and fits this scheme perfectly. I thought it was a great pickup. Kyle Rudolph, if he's their second best tight end, they're going to be all right. I mean, if Julio Jones is anywhere near as good as he was in 2020, you're not going to be able to stop this Bucs offense. Leonard Fournette, y'all were calling him fat for like 2 weeks, and all of a sudden he's ready to go, just like that.
All of a sudden he's coming off the board in the second round of your fantasy leagues.
Literally. I mean, I thought the Akeem Hicks pickup was really nice. It's not talked about enough because as good as Sue is, Akeem Hicks is a way better run stuffer. I mean, and this is already a very good run.
Akeem Hicks is unbelievable.
Yeah. Great player, and he's going to be right next to freaking Vita Vea, one of the top run stuffers in the league. So, does Tampa have problems up front? Absolutely. Are they problems I think they can get figured out with a lightning release that Tom Brady has? Yeah, I think so. I don't think their season's over by any means. Now, God forbid you lose Tristan Wirfs too, and then you lose Shaq Mason. Okay, we can start talking. But at this point, I think there's enough pieces there. There's still 2-3 good offensive linemen. There are some other offensive linemen that are still available as well. I think Tampa has as exciting of an offseason as anybody, and we'll talk a little bit more about Tampa's offseason with some mailbag questions. But I don't know. I think that this is a contender like anybody else is. First 5, we got week 1, Sunday Night Football. I think it's a great Sunday Night Football game. You have the Tampa Bay Bucks at the Cowboys. Anytime Tom Brady's on a TV and the Cowboys are on a TV, that's going to draw a massive rating. I think this is and Sunday Night Football draws a great rating too. So it'll be a big one. I actually have the Bucks winning that one. You do too.
Yeah, like I said, all the way out on the Cowboys. All the way.
You were out on them last year too, and they way exceeded your expectations. They'll do that again this year.
Doubling down.
Week 2 at the Saints. I just said it. Until they beat the Saints, I'm not picking them to beat the Saints. I got the Saints there.
Loss.
Week 3, home against the Packers. This one doesn't seem to be on any sort of prime time, though I do think it is a 4:25 kickoff game. I have that as a win. I don't think the Green Bay Packers have enough wide receivers to beat the Bucs right now.
I think it's a win.
Yeah. Week 4, Sunday Night Football. Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Bucs, Chiefs. It is a home game for the Bucs. We picked this a couple weeks ago. We both said Bucs. You sticking with that?
Mm-hmm.
I am too. I have the Bucs at 3-1 right now. Week 5, home against the Falcons. I think they win that game, move to 4-1.
I think they got it, like, for having a first place schedule. It seems like a lot of their hard games. I mean, I know they got Packers. The first 4 is a little tough. We think that the Bucs will go 3-1 in that stretch. But after that, it seems like they get a lot of what should be easier wins scattered throughout their schedule. They don't really have like that 8-game stretch that a lot of these teams we've gone over have.
If the Bucs start the season 4-0, look out. I mean, because the Cowboys, first place last year. Packers, first place last year. Chiefs, first place last year. Saints, they're kryptonite. They go 4-0. I mean, the league better be on notice at that point. Couple other games. We're not going to predict them here, but Steelers, Panthers, Ravens, Rams, Seahawks. They do have a Week 11 bye. What's the
Seattle games in Germany? Remember that?
Yep, that is at the Bayern Munich. Is it
Bayern Munich's home stadium?
Bayern
It's called
Munich.
Allianz Arena.
Yes,
such a beautiful stadium.
Yeah, we talked about that, I believe, last week. It's got the highest ticket price, I believe, ever. Like, it's right there with the Super Bowl. So, yeah. What's the over-under on this team?
What do you think it is?
For some reason, I feel like you're going to tell me 10.5, and I'm smashing it. I'm smashing the over.
It's 11.5.
11.5. So I got to get to 12. 12-5. Give it to me. I'll take 12. It's tough, though, because it's not like a massive over. Like, I'll take 12 wins out of this team.
So let me just do a little fun thing right here. So you had Falcons under 4.5, correct?
The Falcons?
Under 4.5?
Yeah.
You had the Panthers under 6.5?
Yeah, but barely. Yeah.
You had the New Orleans Saints over 8.5?
Barely at 9.
And you have the Bucs over 11.5?
Barely at 12. Yeah. So I like all the Vegas odds, really. I think they're all right on there for this conference.
That's usually how they do it.
For this division, I mean.
I was going to see what it would be parlayed together, but for some reason FanDuel won't let me do that, so fuck them.
Fuck them. Well, that's the NFC South. Any more on this division before we give our predictions?
No.
Who wins the NFC South?
It's not the Falcons or Panthers. Let's get that out of the way. I really think there's an opportunity here. I know it's not the famous pick, but I'd like to give my direct answers when I do my full schedule when that's done. But right now, I'm going to just rip it off and say the Saints. I think the Saints win the division.
Interesting.
I know I'm way higher on them than you are.
And I like them, but yeah, you're way
and
higher.
I don't even think it's because Tampa's going to be bad. I think this could be two teams that are at 12 wins and it comes down to divisional record or 12-13. Like, I just think the Saints have it in them.
Yeah, I think you're really underestimating Sean Payton.
Possibly.
Yeah. I think that's where we just differ at this point.
I still think the Saints can have a top 5 defense, though. I think they can win a lot of games defensively. Same thing as the Bucks. Bucks
Yeah.
have Tom Brady, I get it, but
Yeah. I'm taking the Bucks. It's an easy pick here, but I've been on a cliff by myself on some other teams like the Raiders, but give me the Bucks here.
I don't think you're crazy, by the way. I understand that I'm picking a kind of an underdog.
No, I mean, it is what it is. We're going into the North, and then we will do our mailbag questions that we have. So the NFC North finished up last year. Green Bay Packers, Minnesota Vikings, second place. Chicago Bears, third place. And the Lions, fourth place. So we're going to start with the Lions here. We are at about the 1 hour mark. So I will try to put that in the notes of the pod for people that maybe want to skip ahead. But key adds. DJ Chark, wide receiver. Love this pick for them. Love this pickup. Tight end, not wide receiver, but tight end, Devin Funchess comes over, joins the team. And then they had a kick-ass first-round draft, going out and getting Aiden Hutchinson with the number 2 pick. And then the number 12 pick, they traded up to 12 to get Jamison Williams out of Alabama, the speedster.
Out the first month.
I know he's out the first month.
Okay,
That's
they just
mandatory
put
now.
that in today.
Yep. Thank you for adding that. And then when you're as bad as a 3-13-1 team, you don't have a lot of key losses, but their one key loss, somebody they paid a couple of years ago, Trey Flowers, they signed to a big deal. He's finally gone. That's all I had as far as losses. Do you have anything to add for keys, adds, and losses for this team?
No, I don't think so, unless I'm just missing somebody.
No, I again, when you're 3-13, you don't have a lot of key players. You don't have a lot of elite role players there, and unfortunately, they didn't miss a lot. What do you think of the Lions before we get into their schedule and stuff? Do you think they're improved offensively? They go out and get a very good pass rusher, a very good wide receiver. They go out and get a very good possession receiver in Chark. They get out tight end in Devin Funchess. You get Jared Goff. You got Swift again. What do you think?
Yeah, I really like the offense, actually. I think the offense can be scary at times, honestly, especially when Jamison Williams gets healthy. I guess name-wise, I'm worried about their defense. There's not a ton of guys like I know off the top of my head. But I believe there was a stat through 12 games last year that if they were to score 20 or more points in every game of the season, they would have been 7-5 through 12 games. So, I mean, Dan Campbell's got the boys buzzing, biting kneecaps off, playing hard. It's just can the offense follow up with that? I mean, they won a lot. I mean, they lost. You look at some of these games, and they lost to a 66-yard field goal at the gun. They lose by 2 to Minnesota on the last-second field goal. Like, they tie Pittsburgh. They lose by 3 to Cleveland. They lose by 2 to Chicago. They win by 2 against – they just have a lot of close games, but also have quite a few blowouts. So, I don't know. Maybe we're getting roped in by Hard Knocks because you just fall in love with the players. But I know I thought going in that I'd be a little bit higher on this team. But I'm higher on a lot of teams. And the Lions, So, I mean, I like them, and they're easy to root for. But that doesn't mean they're going to be good at football, I guess is where I'm at.
So I try not to get wrapped up in the think of this team as a Madden team, but I'm going to for a quick second.
I love doing that, though. And you do that sometimes, and I like it.
I do. So
plugging Madden with the homies.
Like, legitimately, if you're looking at this team on Madden, you have everything you want. You have an elite O-line. They actually have a very good O-line. If you're a casual,
Monstrous.
They have a very good O-line. They have spent, sorry about that. They have spent, draft picks for the last several years on O-linemen for this team. Okay, dating back 10 years ago. They've really invested time into the O-line. They have a very good tight end. A lot of people consider him top 5, TJ Hawkinson. Okay. Then you have Deandre Swift. Yes, Deandre Swift, running back from Georgia. Again, investment into a running back. Very good running back. Amon St. Brown, somebody who kind of came on, definitely shows a lot of promise. He's young, but a lot of promise there. A veteran receiver in this league who's done a ton, DJ Chark, okay? You go out and draft a speedster, Jameson Williams. Then as your backup tight end, you get Devin Funchess, who has tight end ability in this league. I really believe he does. Is Jared Goff that horrendous? I don't think he is.
I don't either.
He's not top 15. We gave our top 16 roughly, in a QB draft a couple weeks ago. He wasn't even mentioned. But I don't think he's 30. Like 20 to 25, maybe, somewhere in there. Is that fair?
Yeah, I had him. I think I had him at 21 when I went a little bit past my 16. But gosh, I know there's probably some Lions fans listening. I like the Lions, and the last few years I've made some mistakes by trying not to be over biased or not trying to be too ridiculous. I just gotta call it kind of how I see it. I think this team's improved. I think they're going to play better football. I think, and just looking at some of the games on their schedule, I think when they play other bottom of the barrel teams, I think they're going to win a lot of those games. I think they take a step forward in beating the other bad teams. Are they ready to play with the good teams? No, I don't think so. But I think they are ready to separate themselves from a top 5 pick and move up into that, pick somewhere between 7 and 14 the next year and hopefully continue to grow on that. But they have I think they have a lot of winnable games on their schedule this year. And I like the Lions, and I can't wait to watch Lions play football. And I didn't think I'd say that because as Andrew knows, I like shitting on the Lions last year. I was giving them the business every week, and they deserved it last year. But I think they'll be much better this year. This is another one of those bottom teams I think could double their wins. Is 6-11 a great team? Not by any stretch. But if you told Lions fans they'd win 6 or 7 games, I think they would jump at that right now.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I think the one thing that you hit on the head, and I agree, there's just not a lot of name variety on this defense. A couple years ago, they went out and got the Ohio State corner. Help me out. Jeff Okudah, and he really hasn't panned out to be much. They don't really have impact players on the defensive side of the football. And I'm sorry, but they just don't. So
come on, man. You just gotta go out there and make yourself a name, man. You go out there and make a play, man.
Yeah, let's go bite a kneecap off. So, week 1, home in Detroit against the Eagles. I know you love the Eagles.
I'm not that high in the Eagles, but they are going to destroy the Lions, and I'm also very high in the Eagles. So, yeah, everyone's like, road favorites, you should bet against them. Lions are plus 4.5. Yeah, alternate spread, Lions plus 12.5. Eagles are covering. I think the Eagles destroy the Lions.
I have the Eagles winning, but I don't know.
By the way, the Lions have all 1 o'clock games except for their 12:30 kickoff on Thanksgiving.
That is insane.
But we're going to see them all because local television is.
Yeah. Week 2, home against the Washington Commanders.
Dub.
Agree. We agree here. Win.
Big dub for the boys.
Week 3 at the Vikings.
Lions are on fire coming off their win. Lose.
Agree.
I think this is going to be a mistakes game. I think lots of penalties up there in Skull Nation. I think the Vikings, a little reality check game.
Week 4, home against the Seahawks. Friend of the pod.
Dub.
Kyle Miller, in attendance, Seahawks fan.
Dub for the Lions.
Lions win. I have them at 2-2. We are hard agreeing. Week 5 at New England. Don't you dare.
They lose. They lose.
Okay.
Here. It's going to be a tough little stretch here for the Lions coming up.
Yeah. So then they have the bye week, week 6. Okay, it is an early bye week, but that's not going to matter. They're not going deep into the playoffs. Week 7 at the Cowboys. I have that as a loss.
Dub.
No.
Dub. Off the bye, dub. Give it to me. Dub.
Wow.
The Lions, baby. Hey, Mike McCarthy's fired after this. Mike McCarthy fired after this loss.
The hatred you have for the Cowboys
It's not
unnecessarily.
hatred. They're not a good
No.
team.
Oh boy.
Dub. 3-3.
Week 8, another home game against the Dolphins. I have that as a loss.
Loss.
Week 9, another home game. I feel like they're home every freaking week against the Packers. I have that as a loss.
Loss. They're home every week because the Lions are America's team, baby. Let's go.
And then I'm only doing it because I was trying to find some wins here. Week 10 at the Bears. I have that as a win. They're 4-6.
Dub.
And what's their Thanksgiving game? Do you have it in front of you?
Well, they play the Jets after that. That's a dub. Or Giants, excuse me. They played the Giants.
Week
It's another
11?
dub. Yeah.
Okay.
Week 12, they could win on Thanksgiving. They're home, but they only play the Buffalo Bills. So I actually like the Bills to kill them on Thanksgiving. But you look at the back half of their game. I'm just going to point out 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. So in their last 6 games, they play the Jaguars, Vikings at home, Jets, Panthers, Bears, Packers on the road. So you talk about the Vikings and Packers being tough, home games or in division games, but Jaguars, Jets, Panthers, Bears again, like I could see this Lions team going 8 or 9 wins, man.
What's
What's the
their
Lions under?
what's the line?
6.5, and I'm hammering the over. 6.5. I'm taking that all day. I might alternate spread it to 7.5 and take the over.
They double their win total, but 3 times 2 is only 6.
Hey, hot take. The Lions, Hard Knocks fever. Lions triple their wins, 9-8 winning season. Detroit's going bonkers. Let's go, dude. Hop on board. Come on.
Well, I can tell you a team they're better than. Are we ready to move on past the Lions?
It's almost not even worth covering this team. This year is just
no. It actually is worth covering this team because I have a bet with myself on this team already.
We got Velus Jones Jr. and their top 3 receivers. Sorry, Velus. I know you're probably listening. No disrespect to you, but they got Cody Wheelchair at left guard. They got
Stop it. Number 3 on the list, the Chicago Bears. They're 2021.
They got Riley Reed at right tackle.
Their 2021 looked at 6-11. They did fire their head coach Matt Nagy, and they go out and get a different Matt Eberflus. Before we get into the ads and the losses and the schedule, so there are times where I see a Nick Wright comment and I laugh a lot.
Dude,
there's
don't
times
bring it up.
I'm going to. And there's times where I see Nick Wright stuff and I agree with him. Okay, and I think he's, for the most part, I like Nick Wright. I think he does a pretty good job, but he can be very annoying sometimes. He did a complete NFL schedule prediction, and with that, he gave records for every team in the NFC and AFC. And
I forgot about this.
Somehow, some way, Nick Wright projected the Bears to finish 11-6. Which I found funny because even if you reverse it, that's 6-11. That was their record last year. I would have laughed at that. So I have made a bet, and I want to put it out there because I'm going to do it if it happens. If the Bears reach 11 games, I will print the post that I put out as a bet. I will put it on a giant poster board, and I will drive to Chicago, and I will stand in front of Soldier Field like an idiot. I have put that out there. I will do it if the Bears win 11 games. They will not. Here are their key ads. Wide receiver, Brian Pringle. Tight end.
Pringle.
Tight end, Ryan Griffin. Whew. Offensive tackle, Riley Reef.
Peter's brother.
Former first-round pick wide receiver to N'Keal Harry via trade from the Patriots. Key losses. Now, mind you, I just gave you 4 key ads. Is there anybody of note? Riley Reif's all right.
I don't know.
Get ready for this. Get ready for this. I'm not even being mean. I guarantee you, every single one of these losses I'm going to name, the listeners know who they are. These are notable players. I'm not just like listing just to be a jerk here. Wide receiver Allen Robinson, gone. Wide receiver Tariq Cohen, cut, but it sounds like he might retire. He has some injury issues. Defensive end Bruce Irving. Full safety Tayshaun Gibson. Tight end Jimmy Graham. Quarterback Andy Dalton. Linebacker Alec Ogletree. Offensive tackle Jason Peters. Wide receiver Marquise Goodwin. Lots of
Khalil
losses.
Mack.
Wow, how did it? Wow.
Akeem Hicks.
Wow. Yeah, they're 2 best defensive. Yes, and I didn't even add them.
They did somehow manage to keep their best defensive player, but he did one out, Roquan Smith. He didn't even want to be on the team, but somehow they kept him.
Their best overall payer demanded a trade and then decided he's just going to play the contract out, but he's not signing a new one. Listen, I'm being mean, but the Bears are ass.
Yeah, I mean, so Justin Fields is another good NFL quarterback from the Ohio State lineage. We saw him take over games last year. But he's got nothing to work with. Even if he is great, I know I was being a little sarcastic there. I know we're taking a piss on the Bears, but Justin Fields, so he can move, but they have no offensive line. I like their running back David Montgomery, but again, I know the Steelers isn't great, but this might be the worst offensive line in the league. Defensively, they have Robert Quinn, Roquan Smith, Jaquan Brisker seems to be a guy in the draft, and Eddie Jackson. Maybe they can do some things there. Every single team they play, I feel like is going to have a better roster. I mean, all of them. And so it's hard for me to give the Bears wins. I'm not going to predict them to go winless, but at the same time, we've done, six division breakdowns before this one, and every time the Bears come up, we're like, dub. Like every single time, like we don't even blink an eye at it. This team will win games, but this team will also have a top 5 pick in the draft. I believe the Giants, Bears, Seahawks. That's one other team I'm forgetting, but they're going to have some really good picks next year. We'll see how it goes, but I can't find any reason to. I like to be optimistic. I like to want to watch teams, and I have a lot of people in my life that root for the Bears. And I'm the type of guy that wants to root for your team with you as long as they're not playing mine. That's just how I am about it. And I can't find any reason to think the Bears are going to be anything better than quite possibly the worst team in football.
They do have a projected $100 million in cap space next year, which I believe is the most in the league.
That is huge, and it might get bigger if Roquan Smith isn't there.
Yeah. So there is nothing about this team that I like, and I'm being just honest. There is not one thing. With the Panthers, they have offensive pieces I like. I was telling you why I think they could win games. Atlanta, though I don't think they're good, they have pieces I like. There is nothing on this team that I like. Nothing. I really think they are very bad. Very bad. And at this point, I think they're poorly run. Just to be fair, I think they're a poorly run franchise. And the Bears are pretty not hysterical, like laughter, but like they're a historic franchise. I mean, they're as good as any as far as long-term success, but they've become a footnote. It seems like in a lot of teams, it's just they haven't evolved with the ways. Their best players are still defensive players. They have no offensive pieces to talk about, though they do have a wide receiver. Darnell Mooney, is that his name?
Darnell Mooney.
Darnell Mooney. Yeah, I mean, he's a good player. I don't think he's a top 10 wide receiver. He's not a top 15 wide receiver, maybe top 20 if I started to list him out, but he's not that guy. And the funny thing is they literally had Allen Robinson last year with a rookie quarterback, and they were running plays away from him to not pay him. It just goes to show you how silly this franchise can be. I'm ready to talk first five, but to be honest, I'm going to give you a spoiler. Their bye is week 14, and it's going to be hard to find a win. You ready?
Yeah.
Week 1, home against the Niners. We've done this game. I think the Niners win.
Win.
Week 2, at Green Bay. I don't love Green Bay, but they're better than the Bears.
Yeah, that's a loss.
Week 3, home against the Texans. Say what you want about the Texans. They're better than the Bears. I'm giving the Texans a win.
I'm going to take the Bears in this spot.
Are you taking them because they're home, or you just think they're going to win? Because you
taking
can't tell
them-
me they're better than the Texans because they're not.
Yeah. I'm taking them because they're home, because the Texans don't have a great run game, but you got Roquan Smith and Robert Quinn still in the front seven, and you've got what seems to be two good safeties on the back end. And Houston isn't just littered with weapons.
No,
They're gonna come over to Soldier Field. I'm just trying to get a feel for it. This is two bad teams. Home has something to do with it. I think Justin Fields can make plays against this defense. This could be one of the very few wins they have, but I'm gonna give the Bears week 3 against the Texans.
Week 4 at the Giants.
I like the Giants in that spot.
I see. I like the Bears. Yeah, and to be honest, you almost talked me into the Giants just by saying the Giants. Like, that's how much I hate the Bears. But I am giving the Bears the win. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give them a win versus the Texans or the Giants.
Yeah, they'll be 1-3 in their first.
Yes.
Four.
Yep. Week 5 at the Vikings. That's a loss.
Loss.
And I'm just going to start randling off teams. You tell me if it's a win or a loss real quick. Commanders. Home against the Commanders.
Oh, that's a Thursday night game.
Who cares? Commanders will slaughter them.
No, I'm just saying it's gross. We
have to watch
I'm supposed to turn on my TV and enjoy a Thursday night with the Bears and the Commies?
Yeah.
Gosh. Oh, no. Washington, though. I'll give it to the Commanders.
Yeah. Week 7 at New England.
Monday night. Why are they getting primetime games? New England.
Agree. Week 8 at Cowboys. You're kidding me.
I'm kidding.
You've got to be joking.
I just waiting for you to look. No,
I know. Yeah, I got the Cowboys. Week 9, home against the Dolphins.
Loss.
10. Week 10, home against the Lions.
Loss.
Yep, Lions. Week 11, at the Falcons.
They win either at Falcons or at Jets. That's their next two games. I'm giving them one win there.
That's fair. And then home against Green Bay, that's a loss, and then they're bye. So we have them roughly with between 1 and 3 wins. We'll give them.
They lose out after bye.
Yeah, who are their last? Probably all tough.
Home against the Eagles, home against the Bills, at the Lions, home against the Vikings.
Yeah, it's really tough.
By the way, we have them at 2-15. They're over under. Listen to this. Plus 125. So plus 125 for under 5.5 wins. Their over-unders at 5.5. The odds are plus 125 for them to be under 5.5. They could win 5 games and you'd still win. $100 wins you 125.
I'm sorry. There's not 5 wins.
No.
And there's 100% not 6.
Let's say they split with the Lions and they win 2 games we didn't account for. That's still 5. That's still only 5 wins.
There's not 6 wins here.
No. Under 5.5 is the better odds. Over 5.5 is minus 145.
Over 5.5
is minus 145 for odds. It's better odds on the under. That's
It-
worse odds, but higher payout on the under.
Yeah, I would feel confident at
Oh.
moving it to 4.5 and then taking the under.
Let's see if I can.
I mean,
I
I'm
might go under
sorry.
3.5. What's the problem?
What's
Yeah, I don't
under
like
3.5?
under 3.5 is plus 390, and under 2.5 is plus 700.
Jeez, I don't love
Anyway,
them.
we don't
Seriously, I think
we
they're
don't even
that
have
bad.
we don't have no we ain't got nothing good to say about the Chicago Bears.
No, really
Watch
sorry.
them come out week 1 and Trey Lance shits the bed and they're 1-0. But
Just feels those 6 touchdowns.
Aaron Rodgers got hurt week 1. They played Jordan Love week 2, 2-0. Oh shit.
Yeah, just like that.
Hammer the Texans, hammer the Giants. They're 4-0 rolling into the Vikings. Goodness.
Ready for Minnesota? I know
Yep.
you're ready for Minnesota.
I'm ready for Minnesota.
All right, Minnesota Vikings. They're 2021. They went 8-9. They bring in new head coach Kevin O'Connell from the Rams. They did re-sign Kirk Cousins to an extension. Key adds Zadarius Smith from the Packers, so you steal a division rival, great player. That's always nice. Defensive tackle Harrison Phillips. Just like yesterday or the day before, they traded for quarterback Nick Mullins. He's pretty much going to be their backup. And then their 2 rookies, safety Lewis Klein and wide receiver Jalen Naylor, good players. Defensive, or not defensive, but key losses, though, a couple of them. Anthony Barr, longtime Viking. I think he was with them for like 8 to 10 years. Really good longtime player. He's finally gone. Defensive tackle Sheldon Richardson gone up the middle. Defensive end Everson Griffin gone. And then their center Mason Cole gone. Several pieces there. Anything that I missed?
I don't remember his name, but they got the coordinator from the Rams as their new head coach. You could consider that an ad because it's come out kind of publicly now that
Kevin O'Connell.
Oh, did you say that?
I did, yeah.
I'm sorry.
You're good.
But it's pretty public now. Mike Zimmerman and Kirk Cousins didn't get along, and Kirk Cousins' confidence I think could have been an issue. But I like Kirk Cousins a lot more than the average guy. I think very highly of Kirk Cousins. I like him a lot. Dalvin Cook is a top 6 running back in the league. I don't think that's crazy to say just off the cuff there. I don't have a list in front of me. Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. I mean, they've been doing that stuff. KJ Osborne's come into his own. And on defense, they do lose some of those interior big boys, but I love their linebacking core. Danielle Hunter, Eric Kendricks, Jordan Hicks, Zadarius Smith. I think they're going to have a good pass rush, good middle linebackers. Patrick Peterson, Harrison Smith, the veteran presence in the secondary. And I think they used 2 of their first 3 picks in the draft this year on defensive backs. I think this team's improved. This team, I believe, led the NFL in 1 possession games, and I think they were under 500 in those games. I think that takes a turnaround with the new head coach, Kirk Cousins. I think the schedule is going to be not too difficult. I think they have a lot of winnable games. Buy low, sell high. I love the Vikings this year.
I'm gonna read you some stats. I'm a stat guy. I love stats. I think it's fair to say that we wrongly criticize Kirk Cousins, and I understand kind of why we do. But let me just read you some stats here. And
the primetime win-loss record is really what shattered him.
Yeah, that's big. So he comes to the Vikings in 2018. I'm not going to read you any of his commander stats, though they're solid. His Viking stats are exceptional, like literally exceptional. And I'm going to read them in order. So 2018 all the way to 2021. Here we go. Completion percentage in 2018, 70%, 4,300 yards, 30 and 10, meaning touchdowns, interceptions, 30 and 10, 99.7 rating. 2019, 69%, 3,600 yards, 26 and 6, 107 passer rating. That's exceptional, by the way, 107.
Ridiculous.
2020, 67%, 4,200 yards, 35 and 13, 105 rating. That is stupid. That's as good as anybody in the league. You look them up. You tell me a quarterback that had better stats that year. They're elite quarterbacks. Now, 2021, This is probably his worst year, but arguably his best. 66% completion. So it's the worst he's been since he's with the Vikings. 4,200 yards, right on pace where he's been. 33 touchdowns, which is right there with the 35, and only 7 picks, which is as low as the 6 he threw in 2019. 103 rating. He literally averages 68% completion, 4,200 yards, 30 touchdowns, 10 picks, and 100 and plus pass rating. That's as good as anyone, dude. I don't understand it. Like, obviously we shit on him, but like,
and kind of under the radar, they drafted Jalen Nailor from Michigan State in the 6th round. Like, that's a guy who's 4th on your depth chart. Like, that's really good.
Yeah, you still have Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen, who's been an absolute beast.
I think
Cook.
in terms of teams that run a 3-4, they've got to have a top 3 middle linebacker duo in Eric Kendricks and Jordan Hicks.
They do.
You look at the pass rushers, Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith. Like, I think this team can really turn around, and I think having a head coach that is supportive and good for Kirk Cousins is better than what was going on now publicly that we know with Zimmerman and Cousins. And I've always been high on the Vikings kind of every year. I've kind of done this with them, and they've fallen just short in a lot of different ways. And I'm going to hope that this coaching change can unleash the potential of this Kirk Cousins-led Vikings team. And I think we could potentially see a playoff game in Minnesota.
Yeah, I am high on the Vikings. I just don't know if I'm as high as I know I'm not as high as you, but I am high on them. They're going to need to prove it. They're going to need to prove it. I've seen enough. They're a great fantasy team. You could draft pretty much all their starters in your fantasy football lineups. Justin Jefferson, Dalvin Cook, all those guys. They have a nice tight end, Herb Smith. Yeah, I mean, and then obviously you have Adam Thielen, who's been a great player for them for several years now. So the new offense should be fun. This is now an offensive team rather than a defensive team. And they've been a defensive team for so long. So,
and I like their defense this year more than I have some of the past seasons too. So it's like they are ready. I think they're ready to go.
Yeah, I don't love a rookie head coach as far as like popping, but I do like them here. Let's talk their first 5. Week 1, home against the Packers.
Win.
I agree. Yeah. Week 2, at the Eagles on Monday Night Football.
Philly.
Win. Vikings win that one. They're better than Philly. Week 3, home against the Lions.
Win.
I got them at 3-0. Week 4, at the Saints at Tottenham Stadium.
Yep, it's in London.
That's the London. I got the Saints. We just talked about that one.
Yep, gave the Saints the win, and with the Vikings, I'm giving the Vikings the win because I can't decide who's winning that game. So I'm going to give it to both of them right now.
Okay. And then week 5, man, again, this is a very nice starting schedule for them that I think there's a lot of winnable games. I have them beating the Bears at home.
I do too.
So I have them at 4-1. You have them at
4-1.
4-1. Okay. Let's just keep going just for a minute here. Week 6 at the Dolphins. I have them losing that. Would not be shocked to see them win it.
I have them winning.
Okay. Week 7 bye week, which is kind of early for a team that's going to try and go deep here. Week 8 against the Cardinals, home against the Cardinals.
Win.
It's a win because they're at home. I like the Cardinals more than you. Off of a bye at home, I'm gonna give them a win.
Yeah, Cardinals and Cowboys. I think in the NFC, the two teams we are going to disagree about kind of here. One of us are going to be wrong on both those teams. One of us are going to be wrong.
To be fair, you had the Cardinals really bad. I had them middle of the road.
Yeah, we're going to massively disagree on the Cowboys.
Yeah, yikes. At Washington, week 9, we both have them winning that one, right?
Win.
Yeah, and then at the Bills, week 10, loss.
The Bills can't go undefeated. They're going to win this one, but we got to find somewhere the Bills are going to lose.
We found games.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep, you know what? We did that breakdown. Go check it out. I remember.
Yeah. So we got them 4-1, roughly 7-2 through 10 games, 7-3 or 6-3, I think. So not bad. Definitely a team that's
I have
going
them
to
at 7 and
contend.
10. What's that?
What did you just say?
I said I have them at 7 and 3. I might have said 7 and 10 on accident.
You
but
did.
7
That's
and
what I was like, wait a minute, what?
7 and 2 is what I meant. Jeez, oh Pete. 7 and 2 through 10 weeks because they had a bye.
They have the bye. Yeah. Yeah, I think 6 and 3 is probably in line with where they're going to be.
I don't see many more losses as you go down the schedule either.
Really? Well, hey, they're right there with this Packer team who's taking a step back here only by default.
I mean, like, for real, like, this is. Yeah, all right.
Just read off the remaining real quick. Just do it rapid.
Home against the Cowboys, win. Home against the Patriots,
Loss.
win. Home against the Jets,
Loss.
win. At the Lions, win.
Win.
Home against the Colts,
Win.
win. Home against the
Loss.
Giants, win. At the Packers,
Win.
At the Bears, win.
We're splitting hairs because I disagree on a couple of those.
I'm just saying, a lot of people are here.
Time out. You have them beating the Colts.
Yeah.
Thought you were high on the Colts.
I was high on the Colts last year. Not as much. I think they're going to win their division. I like the Vikings a lot.
Interesting. Okay.
Colts is a tough one, but I mean, it's in between Lions and Giants.
Yeah.
And it's
Patriots is at home on Thanksgiving night. Excited for that one.
That is. I saw Thursday. I didn't realize that is Thanksgiving.
It is Thanksgiving night. Yep. That's prime time. The whole world's watching that one. All right, you ready for the Packers?
I am.
We're closing in on our second division here. All right, so Green Bay Packers 2021, they went 13-4. I should note they were 8-0 at home, but then they lost to the Niners in the divisional round at home. This offseason, seen Aaron Rodgers choose to stay with the Green Bay Packers, and they made him the highest paid player on an annual basis. Key adds, wide receiver Sammy Watkins. Rookies, wide receiver Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, and then they go and get Quay Walkers and Devontae Wyatt, both out of Georgia, linebacker and defensive tackle. So a lot of rookie impact players here as their key adds. Losses. I did include this. Offensive coordinator Nathaniel Hackett goes over to Denver. I think that's a big loss for this team. Wide receiver Devontae Adams, arguably the best wide receiver in football. Zadarius Smith, they lose to their rival, the Vikings. And then Marquez Valdez Scantling, wide receiver, heads over to the Chiefs. Anything I missed?
No, not that I can remember.
All right. So obviously an offseason full of Aaron Rodgers and stroking his ego. But ultimately, is it fair to just assume that this team doesn't have the offensive firepower it once did?
I don't know over the course of an entire game if they will lose as much firepower as people are saying they will, but it's in those key situations. Little nugget, over the last 3 years under Matt LaFleur, the Packers are 18-6 in one possession games. I think a lot of that has to do with Davante Adams. I think in those key moments when the Packers are driving down the field, Davante Adams shows up. Remember, I think it was last year where he threw one over the middle of the field. Davante Adams got knocked out. People he's done for the game. He came back in the next play. Rodgers throws a random shot 30 yards down the field. Davante Adams makes the catch. I think in those situations, that's where the regression happens. How many times is it, before the half, where they need 30 yards in 12 seconds to get that field goal, and Davante Adams is just burning guys? I still think over the course of a game they can get points, but 3rd and 7s feel a lot longer without Davante Adams. That's where I think that they're going to miss him is situationally. We do know that they've won their last 6 games without Davante Adams. That is a real thing. It's a big enough sample size, but Allen Lazard, Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb, Christian Watson. Someone's got to step up. We don't know who will. They do have still one of the best running back tandems in the league, with Bakhtiari, Runyon, and L. Jenkins, their right tackle. The 2 tackles seem to be coming back, seem to be on pace to play. This team can win defensively as well. I think they have a lot of good pieces, but they did lose their best pass rusher, so I think that does matter. I still think the Packers are going to be a tough outing, but They still have regular season Rodgers on their team. And they did lose. They lost. I mean, I just know what the Steelers had in Antonio Brown and how 3rd and 8s didn't scare me. 2nd and 11s were fine. And when he left, they became a problem. And Devontae Adams, every Packers fan listen, or everyone who watches their team plays the Packers is like 3rd and 7. We got to double and triple Devontae Adams. And he's catching an 11-yard out, and Aaron Rodgers gets a new set of downs. So I think they will decline. And will they be a playoff team? Absolutely. I still think they're good enough, and they still have Aaron Rodgers, but they are not as good as they once were. But I believe they can be as good once as they ever was. Does that make sense?
Toby Keith, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Shout out to the big guy.
So I just think that this team is going to struggle to be the team that we've known them to be for the last 10 years. I agree with you. I think they're probably a playoff team. Though I do think it's a wild card team and a team that's probably not playing a home playoff game. It wouldn't shock me to hear they won the division, but it would be in a dogfight because I think Minnesota is as good as them right now. But it wouldn't shock me if the Packers were maybe a game better than them or, a game less than them. I think both teams are pretty much equal, fighting for 10 wins, fighting for maybe 11 wins. Where the Packers at 13-4, I'm sorry, but they're taking a step back. They're losing at least 3 of those games. I think the Packers team of the last 5 years was beating any team they wanted when they were at their best. And unfortunately, when they're at their best right now, I think there's teams that could still beat them. They're just... If Sammy Watkins is right now your best wide receiver, you could argue it's Allen Lazard, but I'm sorry. I've played enough fantasy football and I watch enough football. There's nothing that Allen Lazard does that makes him a wide receiver 1 in any category. So if he's your wide receiver 1, you're like, Jeff, he's wide receiver. Shut up. Fine. You can have this battle, but they're not elite. Like, if Sammy Watkins is your 1, if Allen Lazard's your 1, if Christian Watson, who we know nothing about, is your 1, I'm sorry, but at this point, you're no better than the Patriots, who don't have a number 1 receiver. You're no better than the Giants. Obviously you have Aaron Rodgers, and that stands for something. We'll see how much it stands for.
Yeah.
First 5, ready?
Yeah.
Week 1 at the Vikings, we just talked about it. That was a loss. Both of us gave them a loss there. Week 2 against the Bears, we just talked about this. We both gave them a win, so we have them 1-1. Week 3 at Tampa Bay. Loss as well, so we have them at 1-2. Week 4 home against the Patriots. I have that as a win. They're beating New England.
I do too.
Yeah. I wouldn't be shocked to see that as a game where they're 1-2 and Rodgers is forcing these rookies to make plays and they lose to a stingy Patriots defense. But that's really the only way. I just don't see New England out battling them. Week 5 home against the Giants. Another favorable matchup. I think they win that.
London.
Giants Packers is London.
It's got an asterisk and it's 9:30, which I believe that time is London because there's only 1 game in Germany.
Okay. Yeah, there's 1 game in Germany, 1 game in Mexico City, 1 game in Bayern Munich. There's that Germany.
Yeah, the Germany one is Seahawks Tampa.
Yeah, and there's a couple London games. So
I think there's 3 or 4 in London.
Yeah. All right, so they're beating the Giants, though, regardless. I don't care where the game's at.
Win.
Week 6, home against the Jets. They're beating the Jets.
Win.
Week 7 at Washington Commanders. That's a win.
Win.
See, now this is where I think the Packers potentially could run away from the Vikings because there's too much here. Week 8 at the Bills. I know you said the Bills aren't going undefeated, but the Bills are just so much better than the Packers. I'm giving Bills here at home.
Win. For the Bills.
Week 9 at the Lions.
Loss. Yeah. 3-game road skid. You're at Washington. You're at Buffalo. Then you go to Detroit. Detroit catches you napping.
Okay.
Detroit played home the week before. Then they get the Packers. They played them tough last year. I know they beat them the second game when they didn't play, but they played them pretty good.
Yeah.
Let me see. What was that score? Because I thought it was close. I could be wrong. I was wrong. Moving on.
Week 10, they're home against the Cowboys. I think the Cowboys are better than them. I'm giving the Cowboys to win there.
Packers.
So I have them at 1, 2, 3, 4. I have them at 6-4 through 10 games. I mean,
through 10 games, I actually have them at 7-3. Oddly enough.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I have them losing the next two.
11 and 12.
Yeah, they're losing to the Titans and then losing to at the Eagles.
They're beating the Titans, and I think they're beating the Eagles too. Man, this team might actually. Holy shit! The Titans can't stop them. There's nothing.
I'm not mad about the. We'll get to the NFC East next week. That's going to be something.
You know, I thought the Vikings could potentially win this division. I'm just not so sure.
The Vikings are going to win this division, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun to keep an eye on.
Yeah. Before we go into our mailbag, who wins the NFC North?
Vikings.
I wanted to agree with you. I'm going Packers here.
By the way,
after breaking this down,
Packers over under 10.5 is what it is on FanDuel. I think that's an easy over. Well, not easy. Not for
I'm sorry.
me.
Sorry, the Vikings are what?
No, this is the Packers over or under 10.5. You're hitting the over pretty hard. I'm thinking about it.
I just told you that 10 wins is what I thought they would be at,
and
but then I just read this off.
Yeah.
I just read this off, and all of a sudden they have 7 or 6. I mean,
you're taking the over though.
Yeah, I think so.
And then for the Vikings, it's 9.5. I'm taking the over on 9.5.
Yeah. We do have some non-NFL breaking news.
Is it about Nick Saban?
Nick Saban signs an 8-year, $94 million deal.
Yeah. Shout out to Dan. He said he's going to die on the sideline.
Jeez, that's bonkers. Anyways, back to where we were. I got to take the Packers to win this division, man. I'm rooting for the Vikings because I don't like the Packers. You know I don't like the Packers, but Skull.
You already know, baby.
All right. NFC North done, NFC South done. Only one more division left. Holy shit.
Oh my. I got some bets with some friends over the NFC East. I mean, I am.
You ready?
You guys ready for a little preview of the NFC East real quick?
Hit me with a little nail biter for next week.
I got 2. First, Cowboys miss the playoffs.
Okay.
Second, Eagles have the 1 seed. Let's get to the mailbag. Get to the mailbag, Jeff. Just let it dangle. Just let it dangle. Think about that for a week. I'll see you next Tuesday. Let's get to the mailbag.
Okay, mailbag.
Get to it.
NFC North and NFC South questions. I asked you guys for your best. Here we go. Dan writes in. Jameis Winston's current over-under for interceptions is 13.5. Where are you going?
I like the under there, Dan. I like the under because his 2 best receivers in Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry, they work in that short, get the ball out quick. Alvin Kamara, like when you have the weapons they have to push the defense back and dump offs to Kamara, I don't think there's many times where Winston's going to have to force things. I like it to be the under. He was doing really well, I thought, last year on his turnovers, keeping them in,
Mm-hmm.
and I like the under.
While I agree with you in your thought process, I have to go over because I think that if this team's going to be good, it's because Jameis is actually taking chances downfield and really pushing this offense. And I'm not saying that he's going to throw 30 picks again, but I think 16 to 18 is in his realm if he throws 35 touchdowns. I don't think
See,
that, you know what I
that's
mean?
the funny thing. I liked a 30-10 from Jameis Winston this year. 30 tuds, 10 picks.
Dude, if Jameis Winston throws 30 and 10,
I think he
you got to pay him. You got to pay him.
being under Sean Payton for 2 years, getting the eye surgery. How could you not love what you saw out of Jameis last year
No, I
in the
agree. We
7
both
games?
like the Saints. I like it. Yeah.
Well, you've got two
Um,
different answers, Dan, so go with the one you were going to do anyway.
Dan writes in again. What do the Panthers have to do in order for Rule to stay on another season? I kind of halfway asked some questions, but I do they have to make the playoffs?
If you're genuinely asking me what they have to do for him to keep his job, I'm just going to blanket it as this. Something they cannot do. I think they won't be good enough for Matt Rule to keep his job.
That's fair.
But yes,
They have to
I
make
do.
the playoffs, right?
They either have to make the playoffs or have a winning record and somehow not make it. But if they go 9-8 or 9-7-1 like a team, but we saw two teams last year, one in AFC, one in FC, have 9 wins, and they were the 7th team with the expanded playoffs. It might be for the AFC this year, but if you have a winning record in the NFC, I think you're kind of in the playoffs. I think it's because we talked about the 3 worst teams. We see Giants, Bears, Seahawks all in the NFC. Commanders aren't that far ahead. I just think, yeah, let's just say make the playoffs. To answer the question, yeah, they're gonna make the playoffs. If this team goes 7-10, I don't think they think that's good enough.
I agree. Dan writes in again. Man, MVP over here.
Keep it
Watching Hard Knocks can sway some minds and get viewers to pull for the team shown.
No, it can't.
Are the Lions stringing fans along for an eventual typical SOL, meaning same old Lions season, or is 9-8, 8-9 a reasonable giving the hype has?
They are definitely stringing along fans, Dan, but it is not smoke. This is real. We're hopping on the train. 7-9 wins for the Lions for sure.
I think they're
Dan
stringing.
Campbell's got the boys buzzing.
I think they're stringing along fans, but not intentionally. Like I do believe that Dan Campbell and his players want to win the Super Bowl. Like I know it's silly, like you're laughing, but like every team sets out like that's their goal. Like right now, they know that obviously they were 3-13-1.
Did
So like,
you see Jamal Williams' speech to that team?
yeah, I want to run through a effing brick wall for him.
Let's go, dude.
I want to run through a brick wall for him. Yeah. See, that's the type of players I want on my team.
Yeah. And he's on Dan Campbell's team, and they're ready to go.
Yeah.
All right. They got
And that's
him.
the type of guy that Dan Campbell goes over the players' heads and just names the captain. Like, I want this guy on my roster. He's leading this effing team.
Put the
Like,
C on there.
You know what else I want? I want my rookie to be singing Billie Jean in front of
I want him to screw up the first line, regather, and then deliver some.
Yeah. So, no, I to answer your question, Dan, I just think that the Lions they lack defensive pressure. They lack pieces on defense. They lack, and I mean this in the nicest way. They lack a good head coach. I said it.
You dare speak ill on Dan Campbell's name?
The thing is like you can be a great motivator and not know X's and O's, and actually, I'm sorry, and they lack an elite quarterback. They have a solid, average NFL starter. They don't have that next level guy.
They started 0-8 last year and never scored 20 points. They scored 20 in week 1. Then they had holy shit. They scored 33 in week 1. They didn't score over 20 again until week 13. That offense is going to be improved, defense improved, special teams improved. 17-0 Lions. Here we go. Hard Knocks. I'll play.
Oh my God. Oh, Kyle Miller writes in. Love when Kyle writes in. He's always a great one. Does Aaron Rodgers repeat with a weakened wide receiver core? Repeat what? MVP? Because that'd be 3 straight. I'm sorry, but no way does he get a 3rd straight. And what he would have to do to get a 3rd straight with this weakened wide receiver core would be perform miracles. And I'm not sure you can do that while on psychedelic drugs and crying about your life.
The MVP is a little bit media driven. We know that has to be kind of a story attached to the good play.
Yeah.
If Aaron Rodgers throws for 4,500 yards, has less than 14 interceptions,
which he 100% will, I would assume,
and they get the 1 seed in the NFC, he's a 3-time in a row MVP, and it would be to tie Peyton Manning.
Yuck.
I don't think it will happen, but if your question is could it happen, without question, because everyone's saying without Devontae Adams, this and that. If he goes 4,500 yards, let's say 40 touchdowns, 13 picks, and which is uncharacteristic for Rodgers to throw that many picks. If he puts up a monster stat line with these wide receivers and gets the 1 seed or the 2 seed, I could see him winning MVP. Absolutely. I don't think that will happen, but there's absolutely a scenario where he could.
He shouldn't even been the MVP last year. I'm still better.
I know you are.
Better. I don't even care.
And then,
all right. Got a new writer here, John Loymeyer. Hopefully I said your last name right. Thanks for listening. Thanks for writing in. Who wins the most games against each other, NFC South or AFC North? So the NFC South plays the North?
Yep.
Okay. I'm saying NFC South. I'm a Panthers fan. 9 wins, 7 losses.
The Steelers, Bengals, Ravens, Browns. Straight up go 8-0 against the Falcons and Panthers. The Steelers, Browns.
I'll give them 7-1. I'll throw one.
Let's say 7-1.
Yep.
The Ravens and the Bengals. I don't know the numbers. I don't have it in front of me, but without question, I'm taking the AFC North. I think there's only one division better from top to bottom, and we all know which one it is. Yep. So I'm taking the North, especially if Kenny Pickett gets in there. Oh, shit.
Yeah, I mean, if we're being completely fair, we think the Saints are good, and we're pretty sure the Bucs are good. Everybody else in the North, we really know about. We're not 100% sure on quarterback play for Browns and Steelers, but the teams, we know they're good.
We got the Panthers under 6.5, the Falcons under 5.5, and we don't think anyone in the North is going to lose under 7 games.
No.
So
so I
don't know the numbers. Let's just put something out there at 16. Let's go 11-5 for the AFC North.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, I think the North is better than the South, John. In your Panthers, I'm not sure if you're saying they're 9-7 or if you're saying
he's saying the NFC South against the AFC North because there's 16 total games played there.
Oh.
The NFC South will go 9-7 against the AFC North. I'm saying the AFC North will go 11-5 versus the NFC South.
Yeah.
That's what he's saying, and he is a Panthers fan.
John, I appreciate you writing in. Tom Brady cannot win 9 games when he only gets to play 4 of them. So unfortunately, 9's out of the question. Yeah, I'm taking the North to win that battle.
Good question, though. It's fun.
Yeah.
Unique question.
Kyle writes in again. How long before Desmond Ridder is the starting quarterback? Hang on. Don't go nowhere. Okay,
everybody calm down.
We have them starting 0-5 collectively. You might have them beating the Seahawks. So we both are either 0-5 or 1-4. Okay. After week 5, Niners, Bengals, Panthers, Chargers, Panthers again. Is he in before week 11? They have no bye week through 11 weeks.
I think for convenience sake, against teams that you might think are winnable, Um, 11, 12, 13, you have Bears, Commanders, Steelers, 2 of those games being home.
And even before that, you got Panthers week 10.
But in the NFL, you can't think about convenience. If they only have 1 win through 5, 6 weeks, I think if you lose to the Bengals in week 7 and you're 1-6 or 0-7, Desmond Ritter's got to come out against the Panthers, Chargers, Bears, Commanders, Steelers, and then you have 7 games from Mariota, 6 from Ritter going into your bye week to decide who's finishing your season. If it's Ritter, you know you're going to keep Ritter next year. If it's Mariota, you know you need to draft a quarterback next year as well. But because I guess from what I've listened to, they're saying there's going to be 3 elite and 6 total quarterbacks in the first round next year. A very deep. You don't want to be a team, Steelers with Kenny Pickett, Titans with what is it, Moore? Or Malik Willis, Desmond Ridder here. You don't want to be a team going into next year with a top 10 pick, not knowing if you have the guy in a quarterback draft like that. So the Falcons, who may be a team who's staring down week 14 bye week with 2 or 3 wins, looking at a top 5 pick, you got to know what you have in Ridder. How long? I would do sooner rather than later. Because if they lose to the Saints, Rams, and Mariota gets, just terrible numbers against good teams, good defenses in the Rams and Saints, and then goes out against Seattle and can't get it done, we might see Ridder week 4. Because think about it, Saints, Rams, Mariota can have some just ungodly bad numbers after 2 weeks. And then if he can't beat Seattle, come home against the Browns with no Deshaun and put Desmond Ridder in there, see what happens.
Let's simplify it. Before or after the bye week?
Before.
Yeah,
and they have a week 14 bye week before.
Yeah, agree. Yeah, we're going to see Desmond Ridder, I think, before midseason even. So, I got 2 more questions here, and we're at the 2-hour mark. So,
thanks for sticking with us if you're still here.
Yeah. So Tom Brady comes up in the news a couple different times this week. I want to talk briefly about both of them. First one, those of you that were watching the UFC fights on Saturday night, Dana White just casually dropping bombs. So obviously 2020 comes around. Tom Brady has a couple different teams he's looking at. The teams that were most notable were Tampa Bay, the LA Chargers, the San Francisco 49ers via trade. That one was the Titans and the Raiders. Those were really the 5 teams pretty much the whole time. And then obviously the Patriots and the outside chance.
Dolphins maybe too, but keep going.
The Dolphins were, to be fair, were never really brought up at that time.
It was more internal.
Yeah, it was more internal.
Yeah.
Well, then obviously we know Tampa's the choice, and for obvious reasons, they were a great fit for Brady. He won a Super Bowl and stuff. But a year later, going into the 2021 season, Brady's on this pod, and he says, "This team tells me they're sticking with that motherfucker," is what Brady calls him, and pulled themselves out. And Brady was a little disappointed that not more teams had pursued him. And to be fair, maybe that's an arrogant comment, but to be fair, I think he's right. At that point in time, I think more teams probably should have pursued Tom Brady. But regardless, what's your opinions on Brady almost going to the Raiders, Brady calling Derek Carr a motherfucker, all that stuff?
I'm glad he didn't go to the Raiders. I don't know. I like Tampa Tom. Seeing it in history now, I really enjoyed everything that happened. I know he won a Super Bowl, but I'm not a hater. So I enjoyed it. We don't get the Super Bowl fucking trophy toss in the lake. We don't get to see backwards hat chilling Tom Brady. We don't get, I'm glad it didn't happen. I think the quote is a little overran because as a competitor, that is the mindset all competitors have. And it was kind of like Brady saying, no disrespect to this guy, but in my opinion, you're going to keep this motherfucker over me. And it's like, there is 31 starting quarterbacks on 32. We're going to count him as a Patriot at the time. 31 quarterbacks where he would have thought the same thing. Because it went so far to boil his bones, because if we're talking he's already looking at houses, he's like, it's a done deal. And then John Gruden's like, I'm not having a celebrity bigger than me on my own team. So it's kind of like I think his frustration was more at John Gruden than Derek Carr. And if we look at the numbers, Derek Carr isn't a slouch. So
No.
so it is a little overran that he's not like shitting on Derek Carr. It's more or less that like it fuels my fire that any coach could look at any film on any planet and think that I'm not the best option at quarterback. It pissed me off like that, and I get it.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see the fire out of a 43-year-old Tom Brady at the time, and I just don't understand how you can hate the guy. I mean, I understand, but like you get to watch the greatest quarterback of all time. I just understand how you wouldn't enjoy that.
No. I'm glad you went that route because I agree with what you just said. He could have easily been like, you went with that dude or you went with that guy. I honestly don't think Brady was calling Derek Carr a motherfucker. First off,
Absolutely
Derek
not.
Carr is an extremely great person too. On, off the field, great teammate.
Top of the line guy.
Top of the line dude. I don't think Brady was trying to like discredit him. I think Brady was just simply trying to say, I'm available. Your franchise has been dog water since I destroyed them in the Tuck game. And you're not going to pursue me anymore? You're dropping out of the race? You're not letting me tell you no? You've got to be kidding.
He said it on the shop. It'd be like LeBron if he was looking for houses in Boston. And the head coach is like, no, we got Jason Tatum. We're not doing this. And LeBron would be like, you're going with that motherfucker? Like, Jason Tatum's a great player, great teammate, a guy you want in your franchise. But, like, I'm LeBron James. It wouldn't be taking a shot at Jason Tatum. And I think that's honestly like off the top of the cup, perfect comp to Derek Carr. I think that's really spot on. So it's like it's just that kind of thing. And God, what a story! And somehow it was only the second biggest bomb of the night because Leon, baby.
Woo! KO kick out of nowhere.
Yeah, I text my buddy I was watching it with, and I got home. I was like, "Hey man, that knockout was worth every penny. You don't need to Venmo me for the UFC fight. Like, it's cool. It's cool. I got to see that moment, man. That was worth 75."
So off topic, but that is the one thing about UFC that's so special. Like that fight was over,
dude.
That fight was over.
I have missed only one pay-per-view card since November. I've really gotten into the UFC stuff, and I enjoy it. And like seeing Michael Chandler's front kick knockout to Tony Ferguson, and then seeing that one, like, have I seen two of the top 5 greatest knockouts in UFC history in the last calendar year? Like
this one specifically, just like the
He's
the last round.
Rounds,
the title is gone. He's keeping his title. You've lost the fight. You have nothing more to give, and you're just like, fuck it. Boom.
The flailed right, the camouflage, and
night.
Just his body was noodles.
Yeah,
and I like Kamaru Usman afterwards too. He's like, congrats, Leon Edwards. Like, I don't know. Watching the UFC, I can't pick one, but I don't know if I like the ones where the two guys hate each other or where they're very respectful to each other. I like them each equally the same. And it built Dustin Poirier versus Michael Chandler. That's a hatred one. You got Oliveira defending his title against Chimaev or Makachev. Chimaev's fighting Nick. I mean, there's just the Diaz brother. I think it's Nate who he's fighting. Yeah, Nick's the older one. But man, the UFC, I love everything about it. It's so awesome.
Yeah, very unique. Last question here. This one comes in from me as well, just like the Vegas one. So Brady takes an 11-day vacay during the preseason. Much ado about nothing. Do you have an issue with it? What are your opinions?
Be who you can afford to be.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. I think ultimately when it first came down, I assumed it was one of two things. A, something was wrong with his mom. But once I found out it was planned, okay.
We all know what it was.
Tom's 45. Tom is achieving his goal that he's going to play quarterback at the age of 45. But at the same time, this was a tough season for him because he's really done everything. And his wife wants him to be done so bad. He probably told her, hey, I can do one last minute vacation towards the end. Now there's more news coming out. It sounds like maybe it wasn't a vacation. Who knows? Ultimately, what you said, I think matches. It's like if you got Tom Brady in week 6 with no prep whatsoever, you're a threat to win the Super Bowl. And I know like people like laugh at that, but that's a fact. I'm sorry. But like if Tom Brady walks out of the tunnel for your team, you are a threat to win the game. So like this whole like thing that, oh my gosh, he's not playing preseason. Nobody's playing in the preseason. Can we settle down? Fuck the preseason.
I think most people think the same thing. He retired. His wife planned a vacation. They all did as a family. And then he decided to come back. And part of the agreement was, hey,
I still got to go on this.
I was retired and I had this. I'm going to have to miss a week and a half of training camp. Sorry about it. Get some work with Kyle Trask. It's the preseason. You know I'm not playing in the preseason. All these guys are, I've worked with them. There is one rumor that it was for the Masked Singer. I don't know how true that is, but if it comes out to be true, that's a terrible look. But essentially, at the same time, like he left to go to Masked Singer. Yeah, that's terrible. But
so I do want to counter your comment with 2 comments. A, he already said he was not on the Masked Singer.
And
he tweeted that.
Yeah, they also said that he wasn't interested in Las Vegas, and now look what happened. We're not going to find out till it's irrelevant. And when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are 7-2 going into Week 10 or something, it's like we're all going to forget about this. But you got to talk about it because it's
The second thing is like Tom just signed that big deal with Fox. The Masked Singer is part of Fox. They might have said, yeah, it's literally their top show outside of football, I'm pretty sure. Like, again, we're being hypothetical here. If he did the Masked Singer, they might have said, hey, Tom, we'd really like you to do this. Here are the dates. And Tom says, you know what? Absolutely. I'm going to put this in the books now. I'll do this for you.
There's another thing where they thought it was going to be 10 days and it turned out to be 12 or whatever. He's on his vacation away from the team with the family doing his stuff. He gets back on time and he has to call Todd Bowles. Hey, I know I said it's going to be 10 days. The Masked Singer wants me to shoot a promo for him. I'm not on the show. They just want me to shoot a promo. You mind if I get one more day to fly out to such and such a place, shoot my promo, just extend my vacation by 1 day? It could be a both type of thing like that. Vacation, come home, shoot a promo 1 day, back at training camp, and he's throwing seeds into shoe boxes from 40 yards. Like, it's Tom Brady's.
It's funny you said that. They said it's the best practice he's ever had today.
He'll come back. I mean, he's going to come back and make it up. It's just that kind of way. Some athletes just have that, I got to show up. Like Draymond Green talked about Klay Thompson's 51-point game. Did you hear what he said about that on the podcast? Okay. Mm-hmm. They asked him, what's your favorite Klay Thompson moment? And he said, it's probably his 51-point game where he only played 3 quarters. You remember that game?
Yes.
And he's like, because what happened is the day before, Klay Thompson didn't practice. The way the fines work at Golden State, it's not that much difference if you're late or if you don't show up that day for practice. So Klay was going to be late. He decided not to come. So his way of saying, like, I'm fucking Klay Thompson, I'll make it up to you, is he went out the next day after not practicing and dropped 51 3/4 and pieced out. Like, basically to show the team, like, my bad. It was his way of in the organization to say, like, I'm sorry for not showing up to practice, but this is what I can do. So, guys like that, like Tom Brady missed some training camp. Let me show up, show my teammates, look, I'm back, I'm in it. Sorry I missed this time. Hitting targets, doing Tom Brady stuff. So,
as Allen Iverson says, we ain't talking about practice.
Yeah, like TJ Watt did a sit-in where he was just off to the side practicing for like 3 weeks. What's the difference if he was practicing at home around, doing stuff? Came out, what'd he do? Tie the sack record. I mean, it's just something we're not even going to discuss. The Bucks aren't going to be 2-4 going into week 7. We're going to be like, man, was this because Tom missed 11 days of training camp? No, it's because their interior. There's nothing. Non-story. Preseason got to talk about it because it's Tom Brady.
Yeah, I haven't drank anything in a week. I'm 3 beers deep into this 2-hour podcast. See me just. That's how it goes.
Gotta happen.
Well, Did we give our prediction? Oh, no, we didn't. I skipped it. Oh, no, we did. I said Packers. You said Vikings. Never mind. Just making sure we got our prediction.
Who comes in last in the division?
Bears. Bears.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Bears are the worst team we talked about today.
Who comes in third in the division? Lions.
Lions. Yeah.
Who comes in second? Packers.
Vikings. Barely. It's close.
Fine. You're wrong. He's wrong, guys. Just don't worry.
You guys, next week, we're talking NFC East. We got Cowboys. We got Giants. We got Commanders. And there's another team that's slipping my mind. Apparently, they're winning the 1 seed, the Eagles. Before we go, I do want to drop some news. So, obviously, we're still going to do the Sunday live shows. That is Spotify Live. If you have not followed us or created an account, please do so. Go to Spotify Live. It is completely free. Create an account and then follow Brad and I. I'll probably repost our images here in another day or two on the Real Talk page. That is how we do our live shows. Free to comment, interact with us. Sundays, 11 to noon, NFL Sundays. So excited to get back to doing that. Anything else, Brad?
No, man, that's it. Just 16 days till kickoff.
16 days. We are almost there. In college, even closer than that. So
yeah,
we're right around the corner. All right. That's it. And we are out.
See you later, guys. Real talk.
Real talk.